Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Today I've gotten a very strange request. So I opened up a second Quasar Commander slot in the Patreon, and with inhuman alacrity, was snapped up by Patreon user Drake and SpongeBob Be Like You used to call me on your shell phone, and they knew exactly what they wanted right off the bat. A simple request really, but deviously so. Releasing in the August 2005 core set Cybernetic Revolution, Mad Lobster is a level 3 water aqua normal monster with 1700 attack and defense. A gourmet food renowned by the Dark World upper crust, it has sensational flavor. It has no archetype, and yet I am now tasked with explaining this. Just this. Thankfully, there are some interesting facts about this card, so as long as we're trapped here with it, might as well share them with you. Mad Lobster fact number 1. It has the highest attack out of the entire level 3 water aqua pool, as well as the level 3 aqua pool in general. Mad Lobster fact number 2. Despite its TCG translation mentioning Dark World, it actually has nothing to do with Dark World if you check its original text. This is hilariously mirrored by Terror King Salmon, whose TCG text just says its roe is the best delicacy in the world of darkness, but directly references Dark World in its OCG text. It also maybe acts as a bridge that connects Dark World with the Archfiend Kingdom thanks to Castle Link, but this is also an anime import card and it's hard to put stock in those, which I guess makes this Terror King Salmon fact number 1. Mad Lobster fact number 3. This card has had a pretty substantial artwork change, and for a very embarrassing reason. See, the original art of Mad Lobster is pretty clearly plagiarized from another game, Altail, an online card game that came out a year prior to Mad Lobster's release. And that's about everything I have on Mad Lobster, actually. But I have noticed something. Whenever someone talks about the Mad Lobster plagiarism, that's where the conversation ends. No one actually says anything about the game the art is taken from. So, in my constant quest to talk about every card game except Yu-Gi-Oh! On my Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel, I'm taking the wheel on this topic to see if the game that art came from is actually worth remembering. Get ready, cause it's time for Altail Explained. Exterior. Space. The camera pans across the desert of rubble that makes up low Earth orbit. Across the horizon, bits of debris from failed launches and doomed satellites whiz around the globe at dangerous speeds. The forgotten consequences of cosmic ambition. Quickly, the point of view lifts from this perspective, the junk shrinking until we reach the heights of high Earth orbit. Up here, there's more room. Less of humanity's space litter clouding up the majesty of deep space. From this precarious vantage point rests the orbital platform, a station that's home to beings from all walks of life. Its hull glimmers a dull gray in the light of the distant sun, but the shape of it is much less defined. As a hypercognitive object, the orbital platform takes on whatever modules and facilities are necessary for its occupants to perform their research, or otherwise live their day-to-day lives. It's also a convenient excuse why the author hasn't commissioned any artwork of the station itself, so it's a win-win. Our viewpoint shifts once again, pushing into one of the station's windows. We glide through labs, parks, recreational zones, all brimming with activity and life, before finally ducking into an unassuming vent, traveling deep down into the relative depths of the orbital platform. When we emerge, the utopian sprawl has given way to weathered stone and iron, reminiscent of a medieval dungeon more than any space-age structure. Inside one of the cells that makes up this dank brig is Vector, sitting with his back propped up against the far wall. He's been stuck here ever since his loss against Nova, and has been a subject of many inquiries trying to worm information out of him about Eldritch's whereabouts. However, the Drake Overlord was unresponsive, loyal to his companions to the last. I may have failed, Vector thought, but that doesn't mean my family has to fail with me. Suddenly, the doors to the brig swing open, and Vector's eyes harden into a venomous gaze as Nova approaches Vector's cell. Alright, Vector. How much longer are you gonna keep your mouth shut, huh? What's the matter? Still feeling like a sore loser? Look, I'm not the one that came to the duel using custom cards, alright? And I found that creepy video you posted. How did you make that? You are not supposed to be able to manifest stuff like that, so you tell me how you—
Scared you're not something special anymore?
Excuse me?
You've been playing the hero this whole time. But when are you going to admit it's all a little self-indulgent? Face it, you explain Yu-Gi-Oh cards, for crying out loud. That's not exciting. That's not important. So you made a bunch of enemies you could pretend to fight so you can make yourself look cool. So now that we've committed the crime of showing a little agency, you're worried that the toys aren't playing along as they should. Now look who's at a loss for words.
I'm giving you one more chance to fess up.
Or else what? Eldritch's. No! What are you doing to me?
I warned you.
Oh, I see. You can't justify me divulging information in a way that makes sense. So you're just going to make me break character. Is that it? You hack!
Aaron was right. This has gone on for far too long, and I'm done playing games.
Then you picked a wrong time to Eldritch is hiding. No! Get out of my head!
That's not how it works, Vector. I write you, I voice you, I make you do all the things you do. I'm not in your head. You are a part of mine.
No! Eldritch is hiding in the depths of the hereafter. He's fully fused with Octo Abyss, and come All Hallows Eve, he plans to flood the banks of the Underworld River and spill out into the real world.
There, finally! Oh, that was not fun. Vector now lays crumpled on the ground. Breaking character didn't normally result in such pronounced suffering, but characters also weren't normally aware of the process enough to resist it. However, despite the damage, the dragon would be up on his feet again in a few days, which was more than fine by Nova. He didn't want to kill Vector, far from it, but with the afterlife in such disarray, he needed answers, and he needed them quick. But that didn't stop the echoes of accusation from ringing in his skull. Getting out from under the author's grasp was Eldritch's primary reason for doing all this, and by forcing Vector to break character, those echoes had gotten uncomfortably louder. But wrestling with the ethics of making your sentient creations conform to your will was something Nova would have to add to the calendar. Right now, he needed a plan. If Eldritch was hiding out in the hereafter, Nova needed a way to go back there. But his previous method wasn't going to fly. Aaron, the Ogdoadic king, had taken him there previously, but there hadn't been any contact with the underworld deities since. True undead, like Yukiona, as well as others heavily connected to death, could teleport between the realms of the living and the dead at will, even taking others along with them. But being part Vendread wasn't enough to grant Nova that kind of ability. Fully dying was certainly an option, but he wanted to keep that as a last resort. Besides, Nova had already bent part of the world out of shape. Why not do a little more? Making a direct link to Eldritch would absolutely ruin the narrative integrity of the plot, but if he somehow turned it into a journey, maybe he could fudge another entrance into the hereafter. Some kind of gateway that would lead to this darker world. And at the time, a particular structure deck was being released that made for just the right opportunity.